Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions: the mystery of the Bielefeld Conspiracy, the city that doesn't exist, according to the internet. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. On May 16, 1994, a German student named Achim Held posted a short message to a Usenet group. The premise was simple: Bielefeld, a city of 340,000 people in North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany, does not exist. It is a fiction maintained by a shadowy organization known only as SIE, the German word for them. Anyone who believes they have been to Bielefeld has been deceived. Anyone who says they know someone from Bielefeld is mistaken. The city is not real. Held intended this as a joke, a parody of conspiracy thinking. Done so accurately, it worked as satire. The post spread. Then it spread further. Within years, it had become a fixture of German internet culture, a shared in-joke with the peculiar quality of self-sustaining comedy. The more obviously absurd it became, the more people repeated it. In 2012, Chancellor Angela Merkel mentioned Bielefeld in a speech and added, apparently as an aside, if it exists at all. The city responded to its non-existence with a €1 million challenge. A 1994 Usenet post had become a municipal branding campaign. What does the Bielefeld Conspiracy reveal about how conspiracy theories actually work? And why is the joke version sometimes more useful than the real thing? This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the landscape of modern documented mysteries, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. The 20th and 21st centuries were supposed to be the age of answers. Science had decoded DNA, split the atom, put humans on the moon, and mapped the genome. By the logic of accelerating discovery, every mystery should be converging toward explanation. And yet the ledger of genuinely unexplained phenomena, events witnessed by credible observers, investigated by serious researchers, and still lacking a satisfying account, has not shrunk. If anything, it has grown. Part of this is a failure of classification. Phenomena that do not fit established categories tend to be dismissed rather than investigated, filed under anecdotal or mass hysteria, and removed from serious consideration. This is not always wrong. Genuine hoaxes and misperceptions account for a large portion of anomalous reports. But the dismissal is sometimes premature, and the cost is real. Cases that might have yielded genuine insight are closed before they are fully examined. Witnesses are discredited. Evidence is lost. The question is never properly asked. The cases that endure, that survive rigorous scrutiny, and still refuse to yield to conventional explanation, are a small but significant set. They share certain characteristics: multiple independent witnesses, physical evidence consistent with witness testimony, and a complete absence of any plausible prosaic explanation that accounts for all the data. These are not ghost stories. They are open problems in empirical science, waiting for someone with the right tools and the intellectual courage to take them seriously. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the Bielefeld Conspiracy The city that doesn't exist, according to the internet, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Bielefeld is a city in the Teutoburg forest region of North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany, with a population of approximately 340,000, one of the larger cities in the state. It has a university founded in 1969, a professional football club, Arminia Bielefeld, several major manufacturing companies, and a railway junction serving as a regional transport hub. By any ordinary measure, it is an unremarkable but fully functional German city with a complete set of civic institutions. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen. Instruments malfunction. Researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the Bielefeld Bielefeld Conspiracy was created on May 16, 1994 by Achim Held in a post to a German-language Usenet newsgroup. The post claimed Bielefeld does not exist and is maintained as an illusion by a mysterious organization called SIE. Held intended the post as a joke. The three-part structure he used, does anyone know someone from Bielefeld? Has anyone ever been to Bielefeld? Does anyone know someone who has? Became a recognizable template repeated across German internet culture. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this. And that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine. Chancellor Angela Merkel referenced the Bielefeld Conspiracy at a public event in 2012, saying she had recently visited Bielefeld and was now convinced it exists, if it exists at all. Merkel's offhand remark was widely reported and significantly boosted international awareness of the conspiracy. The joke had survived 18 years of internet culture changes to reach a sitting head of government, making it one of the longest-lived and most widely distributed internet jokes in German cultural history. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation. But the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, in 2019, on the 25th anniversary of the original Usenet post, Bielefeld City Council launched a marketing campaign built around the conspiracy. The campaign offered €1 million to anyone who could conclusively prove Bielefeld does not exist. The offer received more than 2,000 entries from across Germany and internationally. None was judged sufficient to prove non-existence. The city declared itself the winner, and the campaign attracted substantial international media coverage. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of Achim Held has been publicly celebrated as the creator of the conspiracy and received cultural acknowledgement from the city, his 1994 post made famous for not existing. The city's tourist slogan in connection with the conspiracy became "Ease Gypt Sei Dark," roughly translated as "it does exist." Held has said in interviews that he never expected the joke to outlast the specific online community for which it was written, and was surprised to find it still circulating decades later. Referenced by national political figures, what makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding. The Bielefeld Conspiracy has been studied in German media studies and internet culture courses as an early example of a viral in-joke, predating modern social media by a decade. It predates Facebook by 10 years and Twitter by 12. It spread entirely through Usenet and later forum posts, demonstrating that viral cultural transmission was possible in the pre-social media internet era. The conspiracy's structure, shadowy organization, suppressed truth, in-group knowledge, perfectly mimics the grammar of genuine conspiracy theories. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the Bielefeld Conspiracy, the city that doesn't exist, according to the internet. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the Bielefeld Conspiracy is a knowing parody of conspiracy theory structure, a demonstration that the genre has a recognizable grammar, shadowy organization, impossible suppression, in-group KN, allege unfalsifiable claims that can be applied to any subject. Achim Held, 1994, the creator's stated intent. The main objection from dedicated non-believers. Accepting the parody reading is itself what SIE wants you to do, and committed adherents refuse to acknowledge Held as the creator on the grounds that he may be a plant. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence. But it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the Bielefeld Conspiracy reveals that conspiracy theories derive their appeal not from evidence, but from the feeling of exclusive knowledge, knowing something others don't, belonging to a group with special insight, and enjoying the irony of the uninitiated trying to convince you of the obvious media studies interpretation. The joke works precisely because it replicates these psychological dynamics. The main challenge: Held designed a parody, and the fact it succeeded does not by itself prove anything about the mechanisms of genuine conspiracy belief. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the conspiracy is real, Bielefeld does not exist, and SIE suppresses all evidence of non-existence. The position of committed Bielefeld non-believers maintained as performance. The main objection: Bielefeld has a verified university, football club, railway station, city hall, and approximately 340,000 documented residents who pay taxes, vote, and die in hospitals that record their deaths, evidence sufficient for any ordinary existence claim. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the Bielefeld Conspiracy, the city that doesn't exist, according to the internet, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes Bielefeld's documented existence is extensive. Bielefeld University, founded 1969, has over 25,000 students and a published research record. Arminia Bielefeld FC has competed in the Bundesliga. The city appears on all German federal railway maps and has a functioning Hauptbahnhof with service. Ease to Hanover, Cologne, and beyond. Chancellor Merkel visited in 2012. The City Council administered a €1 million competition in 2019. These are not things non-existent cities typically manage. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented the Euro's 1 million challenge in 2019 received over 2,000 entries attempting to prove Bielefeld's non-existence. Entries included elaborate fictional documents, philosophical arguments, and satirical dossiers. A jury, including a philosopher and a media expert, reviewed all entries. None met the standard of proof. The city declared victory and donated proceeds from the campaign to local cultural projects. Achim Held attended the anniversary celebration as a recognized cultural figure. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed. Media studies analysis documents the conspiracies spread through successive internet eras. Usenet, 1994. Early German language web forums, late 1990s. Social media sharing, 2000s 2010s, and international mainstream press coverage, 2012 onward following Merkel's remark. The conspiracy's survival across 4 distinct phases of internet culture over 30 years, without significant alteration to its core structure, makes it an unusually well-documented case study in digital folk humor and memetic persistence. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the Bielefeld Conspiracy, the city that doesn't exist, according to the internet. Now, we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The Bielefeld Conspiracy turned 32 in 2026, outlasting every internet platform it has ever spread through. Achim Held received cultural recognition from the city he accidentally made famous for not existing. The conspiracy is taught in German media studies programs as a case study in viral jokes, conspiracy theory structure, and internet folklore. Bielefeld's tourist office continues to use the conspiracy as a marketing asset. The city that doesn't exist receives very real visitors and very real tourism revenue. The conspiracy serves as an accidental early demonstration that unfalsifiable claims sustain themselves indefinitely. No amount of evidence for Bielefeld's existence can satisfy a committed non-believer, because any such evidence can simply be attributed to SIE. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the Bielefeld Conspiracy, the city that doesn't exist, according to the internet, from the historical record, through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of Bielefeld Conspiracy ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please subscribe to the channel. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment below telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.